Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem.
Recording in progress.
We have a very nice Sugya today, a short little piece on the Gemara in Nedarim, Daf Hey Amud Aleph. The Gemara says that, what's Pshat in Shmuel? We know that Shmuel commented on the Mishnah that you need to say, when you say Madrani Mimcha, Mefrushani Mimcha, Merchukani Mimcha, you need to say Shani Oichalach, Shani Toyim Lach. So the Gemara's interpretation of that is, the reason why you're Aser in Achila is because you said Shani Oichalach, Shani Toyim Lach. But if you would just say Madrani Himach, it's not necessarily mashna that you're saying Aser, because what you might mean is, I'm not going to talk to you. Modrani Mimcha means I'm not going to talk to you. Mefrushani Mimcha, I'm not going to do business with you. Merchukani Mimcha, I'm not going to stand in your Dalet Amos. Okay? So basically, the Gemara feels that to be Aser ba'achila is yadayim she'enoi meichichais. If you just say Modrani Mimcha, Mefrushani Mimcha, Merchukani Mimcha, it could just mean I'm not going to talk to you, I'm not going to do business with you, I'm not going to stand near your Dalet Amos. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not going to eat from you, because it's yadayim she'enon meichichais. Even though, and Shmuel holds like Rabbi Yehuda that yadayim she'enon meichichais loy havin yadayim. The opinion that yadayim she'enon meichichais havin yadayim would hold, even if you just say Madrani Mimcha, Mefrushani Mimcha, Merchukani Mimcha, that would also be Aser to eat, because yadayim she'enon meichichais havin yadayim. So there are going to be two approaches in the Ran over here, because I didn't realize this, but at the end of the day, where if you just say Madrani Mimcha, Mefrushani Mimcha, Merchukani Mimcha, where the Gemara says, well, it could be, I'm not going to talk to you, I'm not going to do business with you, I'm not going to stand in your Dalet Amos, are you taka Aser to speak to him? Are you taka Aser to do business with him? Are you taka Aser to go in his Dalet Amos? Meaning, are you asering him to speak, or asering him to do business? Are you asering him so that you can't go in his Dalet Amos? So the Ran has two ways of learning this. If you take a look on Hey Amud Beis in the Ran says, here, let's start from the beginning. It's two lines from the bottom of Hey Amud Aleph. Elahachi idmar taimad amar kalaymar la'olam kinamrino meikara. Really, it's like we said originally, Dechiloi amar sha'oichalach, that when you don't say that I'm going to eat from you, mutter. If you don't say sha'oichalach, you're mutter. Why? Mishum delay mashma the amar aser. It's not mashma, you're saying aser. The havaluhu yadayim shen mechichas. It's yadayim shen mechichas. V'lo havin yadayim. Why? The dilma madrani himach delay mishtein ba'adach mashma. So then the Ran is bothered. Are you taka allowed to talk to him? No. You won't be aser in speaking. Why? Because we don't know. Do you mean that you're not going to get benefit? Hana? You're not going to talk to him. For each one, whether it's Isser Hana, or whether it's Dibur, it's Yadayim Shen Mechichais. Meaning, even though the Gemara says, well, if you don't say Shani Oichalach, maybe you mean to say I'm not going to talk to him. So the Ran is bothered. So Taka, are you maybe not allowed to talk to him? No. You're allowed to talk to him. Why? Because whether it's the achila or the talking, each one it's yadayim she'enon meichichais. For each one it's yadayim she'enon meichichais. The kivan the time the shmuel mishum the kasavra yadayim she'enon meichichais lo havin yadayim leka lemifrach ala mibraisa. Because Shmuel's reason is because he goes yadayim she'enon meichichais lo havin yadayim. You can't ask from him from the braisa. The kivan the plukta tanoi, since it's machlokes tanoim, having yadayim, whether it's yadayim or not, you could say the Tana the Braisa really the Tana the Braisa holds the havyin yadayim, it is yadayim. Shmuel the daik mimasisim the having yadayim. Shmuel is medaik from the mission that it's not yadayim. Dilael earlier Ki parchina mebraisa hainu mishum davasvirulan afilu yadayim nami lo have it. The original interpretation of Shmuel, who Shmuel said, if you don't say shani oichalach, it would not be effective. That's because originally Shmuel held, if you don't say shani oichalach, it's not even yadayim. So that we could ask from him from the Braisa, which clearly holds it is yadayim. But now that we're saying Shan Shmuel is yadayim she'enon moichichais loy havin yadayim, we can't ask from him because that's a machlokes tanoim. Says the Gemara, says the Ran. This is the first pshat of the Ran. The first pshat of the Ran is, if you don't say shani oichalach, since you could interpret it, maybe I'm not going to talk to you, or I'm not going to do business with you, or so on and so forth, either one is mutter. Now, okay, Nissim, you're on. I wanted to say that what you asked me on Shabbos, what I said was not correct. Because you asked me on Shabbos, could there be a neder that you're not going to talk to the guy? Remember you asked me, could there be a neder? And I said there can't be. You can only make a neder to aser and isser chayfetz. The Ran is obviously learning you could make a neder, you're not going to talk to the guy. I thought only you can make a shvua, you're not going to talk to the guy. But apparently there could be a neder, deloy mishte'ina b'hadach. The Ran just holds that regarding talking to him, or doing business with him, or standing in his four amos, that's yodayim she'enon moichichos. We don't know that he meant that. But if he did mean that, there could be such a neder. Okay? I'm not 100% sure how, unless you make an isser chayfetz that he is usher to you in terms of you talking to him, or he is usher to you in terms of you doing business with him. That's the first pshat of the Ran. The second pshat of the Ran is v'ika manda amar. There is an opinion, the Ran says, to be madrani himach, that if you say madrani himach, afilu l'shmuel usher, lashtuye bahadei, you can't talk to him. Uve mefrushani, and if you say mefrushani mimcha lemevan ma'asamatan, I can't do business with him. Bahadei. Over mechukani lemekam da'ar amos, I can't stand in his da'ar amos. V'hainu asur de braisa. That's the isur of the braisa. When the braisa says asur, meaning, in other words, let's go back to the braisa. Shmuel already said bekulan ad sheyoymar shani oichalach shani toimlach, which means then you're asur ba'achila. Otherwise, you would still be asur, but it would only be asur to speak to the guy. Ushmuel a'achila kai. Shmuel's going on eating. Loymar delay mitzvah ba'achila ad sheyoymar shani oichalach shani toimlach. So we have two approaches in the Ran. Approach number one is that when you say Mudrani mimcha mefreshani mimcha merchukani mimcha, we don't know if you mean not to eat from the guy. We don't know if you mean not to talk to the guy or do business with him. Regarding each point, it's yadayim she'enon moichichos. So therefore, we say loy havin yadayim. Therefore, it's not considered yadayim on either point. Either point, we're going to say it's you're not usher. You're not usher to eat. You're not usher to do business or to talk. The second approach of the Ran is, even though regarding eating, it's yadayim she'enon moichichos, legabe speaking, you are usher. Legabe doing business, you are usher. If you say madrani mimcha, you're not allowed to speak. If you say mefrushani mimcha, you're not allowed to get hana. I'm sorry, you're not allowed to do business. These are the two perushim in the Ran. The Rosh has a problem with the Ran's second perush. If you could take a look inside, the Rosh is found on Daf Hey Amud Aleph. 3 lines from the bottom. Aval Amar Mudrani Mimcha, Loi Mashma da Amar Aser, my taima, Dilma Mudrani Mimcha, Deloy Mishta'ina Bahadach. Maybe it means I'm not going to talk to you. Ve'eno Oyser Atzai Mahanasai. You're not answering yourself in Hana, Ad Sheyoymar Gam Shani Oichalach, unless you also say Shani Oichalach. V'gam ledaber imay mutter. You're now, so if we don't know if you're answering hana or you're answering speaking, maybe you should be asked to speak. No, v'gam ledaber imay mutter. You're allowed to talk to him. She'enoi mechiach lezeh yosim elezeh. There's no greater indication of one more than the other. V'lo have a yad klal. It's not a yad at all. In other words, the reason why you're not making a neder that you're not going to get hana is because maybe you mean to say I'm not going to talk to you, but we don't ask you to talk to him because maybe you mean that you're not going to get hana. Each one regarding both ways it's yadayim she'en mechichos. But says the Rosh, aval ein lefarish. Don't explain. Diledaber imay aser, that to speak with him it's aser. Maybe it's more indicative that you're not going to talk than you're not going to get hana. Meaning, maybe the second shot of the Ran is right. Maybe, in other words, maybe the Neder would be chal that you're not to talk to him, you're not to do business. That can't be, because the Gemara says that even though Shmuel holds yadayim she'en mechichos lo havin yadayim, but not everybody agrees to that. Shmuel holds like Rabbi Yehuda, but the Rabbanan would hold yadayim she'en mechichos havin yadayim, which would imply that you would be aser to eat. So if the opinion yadayim she'en mechichos havin yadayim holds you would be aser to eat, then question, if you would be aser to eat, then if the opinion that you would be aser to eat, then what, you're aser to eat and you're not allowed to talk to the guy? Meaning, according to the second shan in the Ran, it's yadayim she'en mechichos regarding eating. But are you allowed to talk to him? The second shan of the Ran is, no, you're not allowed to talk to him. So then what? And the opinion, yadayim she'en mechichos having yadayim, you're not allowed to get hana and you're not allowed to talk to him? How would that work? How would that work in the opinion, yadayim she'en mechichos having yadayim? So the Rosh asks that the habasar hachi amar le Rav Papa Abaye lema kasamar shmuel yadayim she'en mechichos lo havin yadayim perush midoloi asar b'madrani mimcha isar hana. The fact that he does not answer an Isra Hana by Medrani Mimcha, Meklal, that implies the Lamanda Amar having Yadayim, that according to the opinion having Yadayim, then Asr Bahana. You're Asr in Hana. But then what? The opinion Yadayim Shemichos having Yadayim holds your Asr in Hana, and you could talk, and the opinion Loi Havi Yadayim holds you can't talk, but you could get Hana. I mean, that's very unusual. Umutu adaber alma yoiser have a chachaleser hanom leser dibor. Meaning the opinion yadayim she'en mechichos having yadayim. The Gemara says holds that you're not allowed to talk to, that you're not allowed to get hana, which means it's the statement modrani mimcha is more indicative that you're not going to eat, than not talking to him. So how could it be that the man the Amar loy having yadayim holds you're allowed to eat, but don't talk to him, because it's mashma more that you're not going to talk to him. But the opinion yadayim she'en mechichos having yadayim holds you're not allowed to eat, and presumably you would be allowed to talk to him. So the Ran's second shot, the Rosh says, is counterintuitive, meaning bishlama, if yadayim she'en mechichos lo havin yadayim, therefore it's not indicative that you're aser to eat, and it's also not indicative that you're not allowed to talk. Both are mutter, and the Manda Amra yadayim she'en mechichos having yadayim holds that you're not allowed to eat because that's more moichiach. But the other pshat in the Ran, that even though in the Manda Amra yadayim she'en mechichos having yadayim, you're allowed to eat. How could you say, but you're not allowed to talk? The man the Amar having yadayim holds just the opposite. That's the kasha of the Rosh. The Rosh rejects the Ran's second interpretation that in fact you're not allowed to talk to the guy. So we're trying to answer the Rosh's kasha on the Ran. This is, let's see. This is a sefer Bikurei Ruvain. Bikurei Ruvain was written by Reb Ruvain Shapansky. I think it was the Rosh Yeshiva in the Mir in Brooklyn, actually. And if I'm not mistaken, his grandson was my dorm in yeshiva. But in any event, Bikurei Ruvain says like this. Bikurei Ruvain says, he quotes the two pshatim of the Ran. Do you understand it? Do you get the two pshatim in the Ran? Meaning the step of the Gemara, that it's Yadayim Shen Moichichais, because maybe he means I'm not going to talk to you. So are you in fact not allowed to talk to the guy? And it's very difficult to say you're not allowed to talk to the guy, because then it would come out that you're not allowed to talk to the guy, but you're allowed to eat. And the man the Amr Yadayim Shen Moichichas, having Yadayim holds the exact opposite. You're not allowed to eat, but you could talk to him. He says, Mudar anilach deloy mishnina bahadach mashma uveran ika beis deyas. In the Ran there are two opinions. Deya Aleph, the first opinion is Firlei the gam mutar b'dibur. You're allowed to talk, to have a yad she'enu machiach gam l'dibur. It's a yad she'enu machiach even for speaking. But Deya beis Firlei. The second opinion holds the asar b'dibur. You're not allowed to talk mishum to have a yad machiach l'dibur, because l'gabe talking, it is machiach that you probably mean you're not going to talk to him. By the way, v'chein hu shitas Rambam. The Rambam holds like the second opinion in the Ran. Now the Ramban holds the Neder is not chal at all. V'ayin b'Ramban de kasav deloy chayal nidra klum uberitva sham bi'er dvar. The Ritva explains the Ramban the ha deloy chal iser dibur. The reason why it's not chal mishum to have a davar she'en by mamish. It's insignificant. V'hagam d'chol davar she'en by mamish aser midrabanan. Even though normally davar she'en by mamish is aser rabbinically, kan loy chal nidra klum. Here it's not chal at all, and it's mutter even according to Rabbanan. And this is what the Ramban means. It's not chal at all.
Is it because it was too ambiguous to count?
Perhaps. Let's see. Maybe he'll explain more. He says that it's not that it's a yad she'ena meichiach. It is meichiach to dibur. Umavur midvar d'sfir alei the etzem halashon de medrani mimcha have a yad meichiach lidibur. The etzem lashon of medrani mimcha is a yad meichiach for dibur. V'ha de eno yaser b'dibur. The reason it's not aser b'dibur mishum to have a davar she'ein by mamish, because it's a davar she'ein by mamish. It's something which is not significant. So we see from the Shita of the Rambam, the Ramban, the Ritva, the second opinion of the Ran. Then the second opinion of the Ran, Mudrani is, think about it, the second opinion of the Ran is Mudrani is Meichiach Ledibor. But according to the opinion Yadayim Shen Mechichos have a Yadayim, you'll be aser bahana and not bedibur. Okay, so let's try to keep it simple. There are two opinions of the Ran. And the first opinion of the Ran is in Yadayim Shen Mechichos lo have Yadayim, you also won't be aser in speaking, and according to the second opinion, you will be aser in speaking. The Rosh asks, Ayin b'pirish Rosh dehiksha, the zed davar shiyav, that's impossible. Sheyeh etzem hayad moichiach ledibur, umidin yad she'in moichiach Yei aser bahana umuter ledaber. It seems like this. It seems like in the second opinion of the Ran, there's a tzad that maybe you are aser in dibur. Why would you be aser in dibur? Because it's taka moichiach ledibur. Meaning, the opinion of Yadayim Shen Mechichos lo have a Yadayim would hold. You're not aser in hana, but you are aser in dibur, because it's meichiach ledibur. So then the Rosh asks, how is it possible that the man that Amar Yadayim Shen Mechichos have in Yadayim, you'll be aser bahana and mutter ledaber? If it's more meichiach to dibur, how could anyone hold you're aser in hana and you're mutter in dibur? Umuvoeras kushas harash batarti. It's like a double-edged question. Ima yad moichiach ledibur. If it's a yad moichiach ledibur, ich yeser bahana. How could you be aser in hana? And the Rosh adds, umutul adaber. That's mashma, he's also bothered. How is it possible to say, you're asr and hana, just, and mutul adaber, if it's more moichiach for dibur than hana? Therefore, the Rosh says it must be, it's more moichiach lahana, miladaber. So, the Rosh's question is a bomb of a question. The Rosh's question is, how could there be this second approach that in the opinion, Yadayim she'enon meichichais loy havi Yadayim, how could you, and you would be Asr in Dibor, and you'd be Mutter in Hana, in the Mandamra, Yadayim she'enon meichichais loy havi Yadayim, and you'd be Asr in Dibor, that means it's more indicative of an Isser Dibor. But then the Manda Amar, Yadayim Shenichas, having Yadayim holds, you're only Asr in Hana and not Dibur. How would they be able to say you're only Asr in Hana if it's more Moichiach Dibur than Hana? So, in a nutshell, that's the Rosh's question. It's a reasonable question. And the Bikurei Ruvain says like this. He says, the second opinion holds that it is Moichiach Ledibor. It's Moichiach Ledibor, but it's a Yad She'enoi Moichiach Le'Isser Hana. What does that mean? Because really your words encompass both. It encompasses speaking, it encompasses Hana. So, the Bikurei Ruvain offers the following big chakira in how Yadais Nedarim work. What's the pshat in Yadais Nedarim? Is the pshat, the Torah's Mechadesh, that we complete his words for him, and it's as if he said a complete a sentence? Yadais Nedarim is, if you say a partial sentence, we complete your words for you. Or is the pshat, no, we don't complete your words for you. You said a partial statement, and we combine your partial statement with your machshava. He says, the machlokes between the Rosh and the Ran is as follows. That the Rosh holds, Yad helps because we're goimer devarav. The Rosh holds that Yadois work, we complete your statement. You said a partial statement, we complete your statement. So when you say Mudrani Mimcha, it's a Yad Moichiach for Dibor. So it's as if you said Mudrani Mimcha, that I'm not going to talk to you. So now what? Now we're going to say that you also mean in Isser Hana. You can't say he means in Isser Hana. It's as if he said the words, I'm not going to talk to you. The Rosh holds that the way Yadais work is we complete your statement. If we complete your statement, when you say Modrani Mimcha, it is Yoiser Moichiach, that you mean you're not going to talk to the guy. And then you cannot create an Isser Hana, because how can you create an Isser Hana? He said, Modrani Mimcha, Shani Mishta'ina Bahadach. I guess, and then what would the opinion Yad She'en Moichiach Loi Havia Yadayim? So that the opinion Yadais Yad She'en Moichiach Loi Havia Yadayim would hold that it's not Moichiach on Hana, but it's Moichiach on Dibor, and it's like you finish your statement for Dibor, and therefore you could be Asr in Dibor and Mutter in Hana. What about the opinion Yad She'en Moichiach Havi Yadayim? Apparently it would not be a stira to that. The other opinion holds that the way Yadais work is we combine your part of your words with your thoughts. So therefore, even though it's a Yad Moichiach for Dibor, it could come out, it would be a Yad She'enoi Moichiach Lahana. Let's see if we could make heads or tails of this. He says, "Ufiza nira levar hamachloikis bereish tevareno the Harambam v'Haramban v'Ritva v'Dei Beis Shel Ran." The second opinion of the Ran holds Madrani have a mechiach ledibur. Madrani would be mechiach for dibur. So now the question is, if it's mechiach ledibur, what is the opinion Yadayim shen mechichas having Yadayim hold? So we thought he has to hold Yadayim shen mechichas having Yadayim that you're only Asr and Hana. Mikomakom Asr b'Hana l'man Amar Yadayim shen mechichas having Yadayim. V'Harosh cholek dezei efshar. V'nira detoi b'Hanal. The Rosh holds like the Havamina of the Rashba that he cited earlier, that by Kedushin Yados is not Shayach ledavar shebalev, because Yad is considered something you said explicitly. Meaning the world of the Rosh, the way Yados work is, it's like you said it. If it's like you said it, then what are you going to say? That it's Moichiach ledibur, and it's dibur, it's like you said explicitly that you're not going to speak to him. So then why in the Man Damar Yadayim Shin Mechaz Ham Yadayim, how could we interpret your words, Isser Hana? You already said an Isser Dibur. Meaning in the words in the world of the Rosh understands that the way Yadayim works is it's like you said it. So if in the Man Amar Yadayim Sheinu Mechichas Havi Yadayim, the Rosh is asking that if Yadayim is considered Dibur Mafurash, so in the Manda Amar Loi Havi Yadayim, it's like you said you're not going to talk to the guy. Then how could you say in the Manda Amar Havi Yadayim that you're Asr Bahana? You already said you're not going to talk to the guy. Dolo Yitachin Klal Dahayad Moichiach LeDibur. Have a dibur mafurash l'asar dibur, and in the Manda Amar Yadayim Shin Mechaz Yadayim, we're going to say he means Isser Hana and not Isser dibur. He said Isser dibur. They given the Yad have a dibur mafurash l'zeh ich nafkia dibur mimasha usay. How could we uproot the explicit words that he said to a different interpretation? Meaning very simply, in the world of the Rosh, the way Yados work is we say this is what you said, even though you said only partial statement, we fill in the blanks. So if it's moichiach for dibur, then when you say modrani mecha, you mean I'm not going to talk to the guy. So then what's the man that Amar Yadayim Shin Mechichos Loi having Yadayim going to hold? We're going to interpret that differently. You said I'm not going to talk to the guy. There's no other way to interpret it. But the first day of that's what the Rosh holds. And the Rosh holds, and the first opinion of the Ran holds that Yadayim works by filling in the blank. If you fill in the blank, therefore the Rosh asks, then what does the Mandamar Yadayim Shin Malchichos Lo having Yadayim Havi Yadayim hold? You can't uproot his words. That is the shita of the first pshat in the Ran, and this is the shita of the Rosh. But the second shita in the Ran holds, no. Avol shitas kol hanach rishonim de pligi azem mevarer shaper daharei inu svirule the yad loy chashav dibur mefurish klal. The way Yados work is not that it's considered words. It's like we combine your partial words with what you're thinking. So therefore, even if it's a yad moichiach ledibur, even though it's moichiach ledibur, it's not a dibur mafurish. It's a dibur she'enu mafurish. We interpret it based on your kavana. That's normally. But according to the Mandamar, Yadayim Shin Mechaz having Yadayim, so then it's a yad ledibur. The habir diyad she'enu mechiach hainu de mefarish devarav ledavar she'enu mechiach v'yirak she'aloshan savelas pirish zeh nase yad lezeh. If the words could mean that, then it will be a yad for that. So then you'll ask, how could it be that the man the Amra Yadayim Shem Mechichas Loi Have Yadayim would say you're usher to talk to the guy, and the man the Amar Have Yadayim, they would say, what? You're not to get hana? But how could it uproot something you said? It doesn't have the status of speech. And if we could explain your words otherwise, we'll explain it. And you'll be asr bahana, and you'll be mutter b'dibur. I don't really understand this, because even though it's not like you said in the Manda Amar Yadayim Shem Mechichas Lo Have Yadayim, even though it's not like you said that you're not going to talk to the guy, but it's more meichiach that you're not going to talk to the guy. So if that is the more reasonable way to interpret it, why in the world would we interpret it the less reasonable way and say you're asr bahana? Why wouldn't the Rosh still have a good question? But this is an attempt to try to explain the two various deos in the Ran. Namely, the first interpretation of the Ran is that not only you're not asr in eating, you're not even asr in dibur. They're yadayim shen meichichas either way. The second shot of the Ran holds, no, you will be asr in dibur because it's meichiach to dibur. To which the Rosh says he doesn't understand that, because if it's meichiach to dibur, then why would the man da Amar Yadayim she'in meichichas having Yadayim say you're asr and hana and not dibur? And we brought out that there are perhaps two ways of learning how yados work. Is yados we fill in what you didn't say, or is it that we interpret what you did say in combination with your thoughts? And if that's the case, there would be more flexibility to perhaps interpret it even in a way that is less likely. Meaning, if it's you said it, then that limits our flexibility. We can't interpret it against what you said explicitly. But if you didn't say it, it's just we interpret it based on what you did say in combination with your thoughts, then there would be more flexibility. Rabbi Say, have a great day. Agun Chodesh. And hopefully this week the regular Shiurim will be on a regular schedule. Okay? Hatzlacha Rabba. Kol Tov. Chodesh Tov. Kol Tov. Kol Tov.